Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are breaking down the fascinating physics and psychology of why you feel stuck in life. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how to launch the absolute greatest comeback of your life. Whether you're looking for better health, more freedom, or financial success, the root of your stagnation is exactly the same. So let's just get right into it.
We have all been there, right? You've got goals, you've got dreams, and honestly, you probably know the exact steps you need to take to achieve them. But when it comes time to actually sit down and do the work, you just feel completely demotivated. You procrastinate. You find yourself trapped in this super frustrating cycle of knowing better but doing absolutely nothing. And you might think this is just a lack of willpower, but actually, the real answer lies in a really simple law of physics.
Section 1. The Law of Life. Let's think back to science class for a second. Newton's first law of inertia. It states that an object at rest stays at rest, and an object in motion stays in motion, unless acted upon by an external force. I really want you to keep this law in the back of your mind throughout this whole explainer, okay? Because if you haven't achieved your goals and you're constantly feeling demotivated, it is simply because you're stuck in a state of rest. You literally just haven't applied that initial force required to create motion. Or even worse, you are in motion, but it's entirely the wrong kind of motion.
Just look at the 99% of people around you. They are trapped in what we're going to call negative inertia. They've just totally normalized a mediocre life. They center their entire existence around these cheap, low-value thrills, all while letting their true potential just rot away in the background. It's kind of like walking into a completely trashed, messy room and thinking, wow, how can anyone live like this? But, when you're in it every single day, it just becomes your normal. You might be suffering on the inside, but you just keep moving in that negative direction. But hey, don't lose hope here. We are going to take that exact frustration and use it as fuel to create positive inertia. That's the momentum of good habits, relentless discipline, and actually pushing through that initial resistance.
Section 2. The Deception of Distraction.
You probably know the story of the Trojan horse, right? The Greeks just could not breach the massive walls of Troy, so they build this beautiful, giant wooden horse and leave it as a gift. And the Trojans, seeing this really attractive prize, just willingly pull it right inside their impenetrable fortress. But hiding inside were enemy soldiers, just waiting until nightfall to open the gates and destroy the city from the inside out. Well, this is exactly how we fail today. We willingly let these beautiful, attractive distractions, mindless scrolling, junk food, cheap entertainment, right into the fortress of our minds. And we're completely unaware that these appealing little gifts are actually destroying our potential from the inside out.
And this perfectly illustrates that famous scene from the movie The Matrix. Remember the woman in red? Neo is walking through this incredibly crowded street and he gets entirely distracted by this beautiful woman in a red dress. But the split second he turns back to look at her, she's transformed into a deadly agent aiming a gun right at his face. The distractions in your life that seem so comforting and attractive right now, they're doing the exact same thing. They pull your focus right before they spring the trap.
Section 3. The Warrior Identity.
So once you realize this, it becomes pretty clear that we have to entirely shift our identity. We literally cannot afford to be part of that 99% normal anymore. Normal behavior seeks predictable comfort. It wakes up late, reaches straight for the phone, and spends the entire day just overthinking with anxiety. To break out of that, we have to adopt the identity of a warrior. A warrior makes toughness their comfort. When the 99% choose the easy, available options, the warrior intentionally chooses the hard path. Think of someone like David Goggins, right? He absolutely crushes his mind's resistance by doing the exact thing his brain is begging him not to do. It means you have to let go of caring if people think you're living a weird, overly disciplined life. When a task is incredibly difficult, you can actually smile, knowing that because it's hard, the 99% won't do it. And that is exactly what's going to set you apart.
Think about an egg for a second. If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if an egg is broken from the inside, by the creature actually fighting its way out, life begins. All great things start from within. If you sit around waiting for life to force you to change from the outside, like through health crisis or financial ruin or just deep regret, it ends in immense pain. But if you choose the struggle from within, if you intentionally pick your sacrifices today, that's where greatness begins.
Section 4. Rewiring pain and pleasure.
Every single small decision you make compounds over time. When you engage in instant gratification, like endless doom scrolling or crushing junk food, you get this super quick hit of short-term pleasure. But what happens right after? It invariably leads to long-term delayed pain. You feel sluggish, regretful, and just stuck. Now, on the flip side, discipline, like studying,
hitting the gym, or learning a really hard skill that requires short-term pain and friction. But the payoff? It pays out in massive delayed pleasure and permanent satisfaction. That cheap dopamine is a literal trap. You've got to start recognizing that the stuff that feels so good right now is actually a recipe for future misery.
But here's the secret to beating this. You can literally rewire your mind. Stop fighting your brain's desire for pleasure and instead just change what gives you pleasure. Actively associate your cheap habits with feeling weak, gross, and like you've wasted your time. Literally tell yourself, when I mindlessly scroll, I feel terrible afterward. And at the exact same time, associate your disciplined habits with immense pleasure. Tell yourself, when I work out or study, I feel powerful, energetic, and I'm actively building my future. Repeat these affirmations before you start your day. Make them your absolute truth, and soon enough, taking action will actually become the easier, more pleasurable choice.
Section 5. The Information Overload Myths. Okay, ironically, watching endless self-improvement content might actually be the very thing ruining your life. Seriously, your brain is just like a computer. It has limited RAM. It can only process so much information at one time. Consider Sir Francis Galton. The guy was an absolute genius, incredibly high IQ, but he jumped from field to field, constantly absorbing new information and switching his focus. And today, he's largely forgotten by history. Now look at Charles Darwin. Darwin openly admitted he had a pretty average intellect, but Darwin hyper-focused on one single theory for years, and today, he's a legend. When you cram your brain with endless videos, podcasts, and all this conflicting advice, you develop what's basically an information addiction. You scatter your energy trying to figure out the perfect path, acting like Galton, when what you really need is the relentless singular focus of a Darwin.
Section 6. The Power of Action.
So how do we fix this? We use what's called the reverse thinking model. Step 1, jot down a list of 5 to 10 things you're genuinely interested in. Step 2, aggressively cut that list down. Select just 1 or 2 things that you really enjoy and actually have a natural knack for. And step 3, focus deeply on those 1 or 2 things for a specific, extended time frame. Whatever you do, do not spread your precious energy across 10 different hobbies or career paths. Go incredibly deep on just a couple of things, find mentors, execute relentlessly, and just ignore the noise of everything else.
Now, a lot of people will say, oh, I could not do it, implying they just lack the talent or the resources. Let's be real, that's just a sweet excuse for your ego. The bitter truth you have to accept is that you simply did not do it. You didn't take the action. You've got to stop waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Think of it kind of like throwing a ball against an uneven wall. You cannot calculate exactly where it's going to bounce until you actually throw it. You just have to throw the ball, watch where it lands, gather that real-world data, and adjust your next throw. The action itself is what gives you the answers, not sitting around overthinking it in your room. If you combine daily consistency with the friction of hard work, the result is a diamond. Stop obsessing over the final shiny result. Instead, focus entirely on your daily routine and the friction of the work itself. Because going through that difficult, highly repetitive process, that is the only mechanism that actually shapes and polishes you into a diamond.
Section 7. Full Circle.
Let's bring this all the way back to Newton's law of inertia. Right now, you are putting absolutely zero effort into maintaining your bad habits, right? They just happen automatically because they're already in motion. But here's the beautiful thing. This law works in your favor too. If you apply that initial, super difficult force to build good habits, and you actually push through the painful resistance of those first few weeks, positive inertia takes over. Newton's law starts working for you. Eventually, studying, working out, executing on your goals, it becomes an effortless motion. It'll actually feel harder to not do the work. Success just simply becomes your default state of motion.
So you have the entire playbook now. You understand the physics of your stagnation, the deception of your distractions, and the absolute power of singular focus. The information gathering phase is officially over. So the only question left for you to answer today is this: will you remain at rest, or will you choose to become an unstoppable force? Make your choice.